Welcome back to another informative and exciting episode of podcast where we cover everything cannabis and hemp. If you haven't subscribed yet to our channel, please do so, as this will help us sustain our channel. And remember to cannabis responsibly at all times. To another episode of podcast. Today's episode is quite different. As you can see, we are outside.
Yeah, it's a nice change of pace.
Cannabis behind us and everything. I'm sitting here with a very dear friend of mine who's an aspiring homesteader. This gentleman does not buy anything. He grows everything, makes his own soil, but we'll get to that. We're going to be doing a 10 episode series with him where he's going to be walking us through and showing us how you do all these things. Sustainable farming or permaculture, if you would like to call it. But right now, him and I, we're going to be having an engagement on the cannabis industry as a whole. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, Mo. How's it going?
I'm good. Remember to project, my
friend. Yes. Thanks for having me. Yeah, no, we're outside. Yeah, we don't have the advantage of a studio, but this will be our studio for today. Yeah, no problems. No problem.
The best studio ever. The best studio ever. Let's tap into it. Let's talk about the cannabis industry as a whole. I mean, you and I were having a discussion earlier where we were discussing what's actually happening within Africa and how everybody else is benefiting besides the Africans. Can you tap into that more?
Well, I think now, especially that we are getting more educated, we are formalizing the space, quote unquote. The one thing that isn't happening for me, or what I'd like to see more of, is us supplying ourselves. While, yes, I understand a lot of the rules and the regulations are there for safety's sake and all that, but I think they are very limiting for a lot of our people that have been doing this for generational periods of time. So 20, 30 years, maybe their grandfather started it, and they're even doing it. They have that heritage knowledge that is able to deliver the results that we're looking for. Maybe they just need a little bit of advice or knowledge, or maybe certification here and there. But it's definitely possible. It's not outside of the realm of possibility that we can start doing this for ourselves. And especially if we're broadening the cannabis industry, if we're broadening it to the hemp industry as well. There's no reason we can't be doing our own textiles, but I think it all boils down to the bottom line for most people. It's still cheaper to get most of your stuff from China or India than make it here yourself, especially when the industry isn't at that point where we are manufacturing for ourselves. South Africa used to be a manufacturing nation.
I know.
Yeah, we used to manufacture, we used to make stuff here. Yeah, but now it seems like we're shipping a lot of our natural resources away. They're being refined overseas, and then we're getting the finished product here. And I think cannabis has the potential to see a shift in that model, in the exporting of raw cannabis and then the importing of the finished product. We can do that all here. It's very much possible. It's being done, but by a very select few, and in a way that hasn't really been accessible to the broader, to everybody, and especially to the people that have already been doing it. We haven't been enabling them to even diversify what they're doing, especially now with what we're learning about hemp on a daily basis. We're finding like a new use for it like every other day, and like I just read up that hemp can be used to make graphene, which is a component in batteries, and batteries are now the new thing for solar power. I'm like, we could possibly be manufacturing some components for solar power locally, but that interest, that investment is still needed. Because it's for a lot of people, I don't think that their horizons have been broadened to see that possibility.
And what do you think the problem is? Obviously, but we can't blame everything on the government.
That's
right. As the individuals, we need to take things into our own hands. But why do you feel that we feel as if we cannot do this ourselves? Like we rely on the European market to come in, like what they did to Lesotho. I mean, it's a shame. Really, it's a shame. And why is it that we cannot do this ourselves? Why do we always need help? Why can't we just do this ourselves, you feel?
Well, I don't think it's a story of why we feel that we can't do this. I think the desire is there, especially now with massive tracts of land, our heritage knowledge. The desire has always been there. It's just the partnership that we're missing. Because as much as we want to make fabric, us as South Africans, we haven't made fabric out of hemp. Like personally, yes, there are people here and there that are doing it, but in terms of a
Making it.
countrywide, like
Yeah.
in terms of that scale,
Yeah.
we need that partnership. We need that mentoring from places. Like as much as we don't want to, we have to go to who knows how to do it. But the catch is we have to keep it local. As much as we would, let's say, import the expertise.
Yeah.
Like China and India, they know how to do it. But the catch is not to buy it from them, but to get
The skill.
to get the skill to be imparted here to do it ourselves. It's possible, and it's not that we can't do it. It's we have to believe that we can. At the bottom, at the end of the day, it's our will that is going to dictate how far we're going to go. If we're going to leave it to other people to do it, they're going to take advantage. But if we really have that hunger and we are willing to do what it's going to take, especially when it comes to the bottom line, if we're willing to take that hard road to know that yes, it's going to be more expensive than your cotton fabric. Yes, it's going to be more expensive than this and that alternative. But we want to do this for ourselves because we want to supply ourselves with what is local. And local is lekker going into that sphere.
Yeah.
We're going to have to be able to make those tough decisions. And
Yeah.
right now where we are economically is new gray listing and all of that, it's going to be very difficult, but nothing worth doing is really easy, is it? So it's a question of who is going to champion that push
Yeah.
to bringing our commodities to be made locally and
Yeah.
distributing them locally.
Yeah.
'Cause we have enough people to supply, so why not keep the money in South Africa? That's just a question I ask myself, which is
But
why.
it's like everything else, the minerals that are being taken out of Africa as a whole. I mean, we are suffering. So even now with the plant itself, I think that's what they are trying to do. That's what they're doing actually.
That's what they're trying to do. I will agree with trying to do because they can't close the mine on cannabis. Like whether you like it or not, like as much legislation and as much ill will and consequences, or all that you're going to put around it. Ultimately, you cannot stop people from getting to it.
Yeah. So you don't even feel that we're restricted because there's still this connotation that's associated with the plant that is just all about getting high and smoking.
Ignorance is not bliss. I think that's why education is going to be a very big part of the shift that needs to happen. What can you actually use it for? What can you do? What can you replace? I think that's what we're being steered away from. This is my own quote unquote conspiracy. And why would you need a sleep aid? Why would you need to buy an over the counter sleep aid if you have a sleep aid that you can grow in your own backyard? Why would you need
An organic one.
an organic one? Why would you need this over the counter product when you can do it yourself? It's that shift to DIY now, and I think it's becoming necessitated because the price of everything is not looking very nice right now. So if you want to do it if you can. The same thing goes for food.
Yeah.
I was very much on the end of the do-it-yourself
Yeah.
notion of food when I went to my local spy here during lockdown and they said there's no food, sorry. And I'm like, no food. Like the shelves are empty. I needed to feed my people. What do I do? And I think the same shift can happen with cannabis. So I've been able to do it to some degree.
Yeah.
And it's sticking with it. It's that consistency. It's that improving, being able to do more year after year, learning from previous year's mistakes and what have you. I think the same can be done with cannabis for all the uses in its sphere of influence. Yeah.
And let's talk about what happened in Lesotho, if you don't mind, because we were having a discussion on that. But I think it's very crucial for the rest of the viewers to actually hear it. Just touch base on that.
What I think happened in Lesotho was they were under-regulated. And the reason I say under-regulated is there were licenses given out, but in terms of the quality of the product that came out, they did not meet those standards. So that limiting of restrictions would, that regulation, let me not say limiting of restrictions, that regulation would have been handy in keeping that standard and keeping things the way they were. But because the market was flooded, or what they were producing was not to the standard that the market was looking for, it did not bring that return of profit that they were also looking for. So they had to kind of weed out those ones that weren't doing it right, quote unquote, or weren't bringing the product to it. And that could have been negated with a lot of knowledge and preparation.
Yeah.
Maybe a year or two of being willing to fail as well. Because personally, going from any growing method to another, it's a big learning curve in terms of the variables. So going from outdoor to greenhouse to indoor, like that, it's all a learning curve. So I think with all the money that they put in, they didn't allow themselves that learning curve that many of them were able to survive. Maybe that the product that they came out wasn't what they were looking for, or maybe this was the error that happened and this couldn't happen. I think many of them didn't survive because of that. Not that they weren't capable, but maybe they weren't in a space to be able to fail.
I get what you're saying. So you don't feel that they were exploited? I think they were exploited.
There's always going to be exploitation in every industry. There's always corruption. I don't. There's no such thing as 100%. So there are other pockets here and there, but at the same time I can't say about our people that they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I think the tools that they needed to do it maybe weren't in place, and maybe that was used to push them out of the market.
Because they are pushed out of the market.
Yeah, for those that were pushed out of the market, because maybe the monetary investment that had to go back in, maybe the sourcing of genetics, maybe the upgrading of infrastructure, electricity, what have you, water, all of that all has a cost attached to it. And maybe in lacking that guidance and that leeway to fail, that's what pushed a lot of them out.
Yeah. Do you not fear that the same thing may happen to South Africa? Because there's a lot of them now also looking at South Africa and investing in South Africa. I don't want to mention whom, don't you feel that we may just follow the same path that Lesotho, went through? You don't think we would be able to go through the same thing, or you think we are doing it differently because we are looking at what has happened and seeing how this one has done it, and we're trying to do things differently because we are really hanging on to this green gold and trying to make sure that it doesn't escape from us? Do you think the same thing will happen to us?
I don't think so. And I think because we're a resilient people.
Yeah.
Or as a country in ourselves, seeing what's going on now, the fact that we're hanging on, we have a resiliency about us as South Africans, but I don't think that exploitation would go that far. There will be exploitation. There will be those sectors that the more distasteful sides of it, but I don't think it's going to be to the point where we're going to be pushed out. And I think what's honestly helping us is the fact that we are quote unquote rainbow nation, where we have a lot of hands in the same interests, to where we're not willing to let this whole industry just fail out of nowhere. But at the same time, for me, what matters is also where's the final product going? Is it staying here or is it being exported? If it's being exported, I can kind of see a case for it because there's infrastructure that needed to be invested, there are people that need to be paid, there was X, Y, and Z that needed to be done here, and then the product left. That's, for me, that's different to exporting the gold or exporting the oil. Let me put it very common. Exporting the oil, having it refined overseas, and then selling it back to us as 93, 95. So for me, that's different. So especially with this green gold, you can essentially do it anyway. I don't think you can suffocate this industry. So long as there's a demand, there will be a supply. And that goes with everything, absolutely everything that anyone sees value and is willing to pay for, like whether savory or unsavory, there will always be a demand. So even for this industry, I think it's going to be the same. I don't think we can be exploited or suffocated or pushed out of the cannabis industry, especially considering what kind of genetic gold that we have here in our land races. Yeah. So I maybe it's me being an optimist, but
we need that.
But
we can't all be pessimists.
That's what I believe. Like deep down that we're far enough ahead and we've seen the mistakes of others to kind of curtail that. And as much as we are hampered by regulations, being more safe than less safe, there are cases to be made for that, seeing what we've seen.
Yeah. And you were telling me about, is it Mexico or what was it? The lady that
Yes,
couldn't,
yeah.
can you tell us?
In Mexico, they had an initiative, and I'm sure we'll have the link up on the video.
Okay, yeah.
And the background information as well. Um, when I was in the U.S., I made a lot of Mexican friends. I was in Florida, and they were telling me about this initiative where the Mexican government was actually helping families grow and extract cannabis for their own use.
Imagine
Yeah,
that.
like the
That
government
is so
said,
awesome, bruh.
This is how you, like, if you're gonna do it safely. This is how to do it. So, and I think they were given a quota like we were. I'm not sure what the quota was, but they were allowed to grow X amount personally for their own use, whether recreationally or whatnot. And there's a story of this mother that was using it to help treat her son's condition. But I will get that information, and we will put it up for the viewers as well.
Yeah. But don't you think that the fact that, other governments, and our government does look at what foreign government is doing, and they actually implement the same things in South Africa. But why do you feel that one element, I mean, what that government was doing, they actually said to their people, look, there's a safer way of doing it. We'll actually even educate you guys for free, so that you guys are able to assist your families. Why do you feel that here in South Africa we cannot do that? Why is our government not backing us up in that manner, you feel?
I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
But what I can say is the ability is there, but the will isn't. Because, and especially with knowing what we know, especially with the genetics and the practices that come from the Sutu, Wonderland, KZN, anywhere where cannabis grows, we've been doing it for a while, and we can do it well. Why are we not empowering our own people to do it? But
that's the question.
I think it speaks to mindset.
Mindset. No?
Because going to school, most of us weren't going to school with our parents saying, yes, be a farmer. Some of us, yes, right? Especially for some of us that may have grown up in an agricultural background where maybe their father was a farmer, they had cows and whatnot. That's one thing. But for most of us at large, the handwork was very much discouraged. It's be a doctor, be an accountant, be a lawyer. It was very white collar, when it's the farmers that you need, because you can't eat accounting at the end of the day. Like as much as we need our chartered accountants, when you crunch the numbers, you can't really crunch the numbers at the end of the day
without having a product.
Yeah. So I think that's what it was as well. For as much as it is, the government hasn't really enabled us yet, and I'm going to say yet because I have to keep that glimmer of hope. It's also us as a people, we have to shift our minds to, this is a viable place to go. This is vocational work is viable. Skills-based work is viable. I don't need a matric if I can have a skill, a marketable skill. If I'm a plumber, everyone needs a plumber. I don't know who doesn't need water. I don't know who doesn't use a toilet. I don't know who doesn't have some kind of plumbing, with the exceptions of a Makai in the village. But by and large, in terms of a marketable skill, agriculture is also a marketable skill.
Yeah.
I believe that it should have been a life skill. We should have been taught this in LO or something like that. There should have been a whole module in LO, life orientation. It's like, okay, this is how you would deal with this in your life, or maybe this is what you have open to you, or maybe even in natural sciences. This is how to do this, because food is something that we need every day. So there's no incentive that says we can't do it for food, and we can't do it for maybe something that's therapeutic, something traditional that we know to work, and market that. But we're here and we're pushing for that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
We are our own activists, and
we
we're doing it
be.
differently. We're not shouting, but we're doing it differently.
Yeah, especially since our people like a winning story.
Yeah.
Think about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Everyone was skeptical about Bitcoin until it hit like 1 million, and everyone wanted to buy into Bitcoin. They want to see a story that works. So for those of us that know how to do it, we have to do it in a way that we know it works, and that we need a winning story. Because a winning story is a story that people can get behind. So that's what needs to happen with cannabis. And with all the difficulties and challenges that we face, we still need to push on. Because for me, that compounds on the winning story. The challenges that we may have come up against, everything that we may have overcome, contributes to the winning story, so long as we win at the end. So it's going to be a war of attrition. It's going to be a long haul, but so long as we get to the end of the day.
And I just continue.
Just continue, push.
Push.
Soldier.
Have the faith. Soldier
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
You know, it's not easy, but I believe we can get there.
Yeah.
Government is coming on board.
Yeah, they're
I
coming
mean,
around.
They're
Yeah,
coming on board.
It's something to be happy about.
Yeah, I mean, Department of Agriculture, I know they actually funding a lot of individuals that are interested within the hemp market.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we just still have test facilities in South Africa. We do not have
the processing facilities.
you know,
yeah.
and I think that's something that's much needed. Instead of us just bringing everything in, we might as well just do it ourselves, which is what you were actually saying.
So and that's the other reason for the winning story, because investment also likes a winning story. So if you can present this in a way where investors can see that this is possible, this can work, local investors preferably, then that's when you can start sourcing the 25 million rand infrastructure or processing machinery that's necessary to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
To stop exporting, supply ourselves before we supply the world. I'm a very strong proponent of, if we can do it here, why not? I don't see a reason why we should export the food that we grow and import the food that we eat. We need to supply ourselves first, and they say charity begins at home. So we must sort ourselves out first.
I mean, we
before
are
everybody
importing
else.
chickens. Bro.
How?
Like, I still don't understand. Like, how? What?
We have the space, and along with the chickens is eggs and what have you.
You know?
There's a whole value chain that goes in
Yeah.
there. And back in the day, where my great grandmother was in Limpopo, Khampahle,
Yeah.
there was no importing and buying of chickens. They had their chickens there. All the waste in their house went to the chickens. The waste made the eggs. The waste made the meat. Everything was sourced in-house.
cycle that
And
works.
if it wasn't you, it was your neighbor. It was Maki. Maki had something that you didn't. So
Yeah.
there was that community integration. So I think the same can happen, but not just for food at the same time. Cannabis. Where's our local knowledge for medicines? Where's our local flora and fauna and what have you? They are the source material for these medicines that we run to the pharmacist for. We need to demystify our local flora in the treating of what have you, whether it be helping with this symptom, helping with that symptom, helping with X, Y, and Z. We just need to get on that train. Yeah.
And talking about a winning story, do you think that, because there's this perception that in the cannabis industry, the white folks are the ones that are benefiting mostly from how the industry has been introduced into South Africa, and that Rona, you know, people who look such as myself, we are just fighting to be part of the game.
Well, two parts to that. So right now we do have the people of our color that can participate in the realm. So
Yeah.
I think what it's going to take is desire, and education as well, and also for them to see the horizons, because money is not, or the money that is necessary for the participation in the cannabis industry isn't locked in the quote-unquote white demographic.
Yeah.
No, it's across the board.
Yeah.
But right now, for the ordinary person, or maybe the cultivator at the facility, it's a foot in the door. It's how I think that jobs were done back then. So you start at this job, you get proficient at it, then they take you to this one, then you get to know the whole business,
Yeah.
like over time, and then you get to be the one that actually manages it, and then so on and so forth. So I think we're still very early in our story.
Yeah.
Just because we implement a lot of things late in this country as well. They've been doing it since 1950, 1940.
Yeah, we are
something.
behind. We're
And
just
then-
catching
and,
on.
And then we started now, but it's also a good place to be in that we can learn from what already works.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that we haven't done as a country, not just with cannabis, but with even like legislation, the way things work as a whole. 1994 came, everything went. They didn't keep what
Nothing.
Yeah, what worked wasn't kept.
Yeah.
They start from scratch, and that wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
For me, that wasn't necessary.
I get you.
As someone who's a quote unquote freedom baby.
Freedom baby.
That's supposed to be benefiting from
What's happening?
What's happening now. I see that what works. You can't say it doesn't. The proof is in the pudding. If it's the truth, it's the truth. If it works, it works. What works should have been kept. And I think what works elsewhere can be implemented here.
Yeah.
Because they're further along in their journey. But it's almost like a mentor for me.
Yeah.
They've been a way that you haven't been before. So they can take you to where you need to go quicker. So it's not that it's impossible. We just have to find the people. And I think as a country right now, we're so neck deep in this narrative of just corruption, nothing's working, that we're refusing to see what can and might work.
Forever the optimist you are.
I have to be.
Yeah, we all can't be pessimists, like I said. We need those optimistic people such as yourself, which gets me to us now showcasing the winning formula. As you said, we need a win. The winning formula, showcasing to people how they can do this for themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you allowed us to come into your home so that you can actually share the knowledge that you have been implementing, because you don't buy a lot of things.
I'm working towards it now, because especially like when I walk by and I see like spinach is like 30 rand a bush. That time, like every 2 days I go out there and I get something bigger than that bush. I see the value that it adds.
Yeah.
I think other people seeing the value too will help them on their journey, or help them get started.
Yeah.
Because any step, no matter how small, in the right direction is a good step to take.
And that's exactly why I wanted us to do this, because I know the economy right now, everything is expensive, and a lot of people are complaining about how food is expensive, how this and this is expensive, and having people such as yourself who even make their own soil, guys. Yeah, this guy makes his own everything. This guy.
You have to. Yeah, like once you can like really wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
You see the necessity. It doesn't become a luxury.
Yeah.
It becomes you have to, or you see it as a waste.
Exactly.
And I can't abide a waste.
Yeah.
Like especially with the way things are going.
Yeah.
We need to utilize everything to its maximum.
So let's get right into it. Let's show people
what's possible. Yeah.
How they can do, whether you are staying in an apartment, whether you are staying in a big plot like this. Like, this is a beautiful place, by the way. Whether you are staying wherever, you can do it on your own.
Baby steps. Yeah, and it's going to take an open mind.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah.
Or let me say, it's going to take an open mind and a willingness to do the work. Because I didn't just get up and say I'm just going to. Nah, I have a degree in biology, which informs a lot of what I do. But it was also research.
Yeah.
A lot of research.
Yeah.
What works? KNF, the Korean natural farming techniques. What works for you in your situation? Because what works for you might not be what works for me.
Yeah.
And so it's going to take that drive,
research,
to research, to find out this is the best solution for where I am now, or what I'm able to do in the space.
My climate and everything, but the fact that you're going to be able to provide that knowledge may just encourage somebody to go and do in-test research on what will work for them.
I definitely hope so.
So I'm glad that we're doing this. So we'll get to it. We're going to start with episode 1, where the gentleman is going to be talking about soil. So thank you for watching, and remember to cannabis responsibly at all times. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, and share buttons below. We would also appreciate your comments. And remember to cannabis responsibly at all times.